sourdough biscuits. For this, we're going to be using excess starter, so it's totally fine if this isn't freshly fed starter and it's been sitting in your refrigerator for 2 weeks. That's actually what these are designed for. So go grab your starter. You'll also need some flour, salt, baking powder, and butter. You need butter. Let's get started. All right, so in my bowl, I already have 225 grams of flour measured out, and I'm going to add 6 grams of salt, 15 grams of baking powder. All right, there's 15. And then I'm just gonna kind of give that a quick little mix. All right, and then into this mix, we're going to add 2 sticks or about 228 grams of butter that you're just gonna chop up. Maybe I've got each one cut into about 8 pieces there. Not that that really matters, because now we're going in with this. And what I'm doing is I'm pressing down and twisting at the same time. So I'm just kind of cutting this butter in, keeping on going until the largest pieces are about the size of, I don't know, a small fava bean or a good sized lima bean. And I know 75% of you just thought of a nice Chianti when I said that. All right, so this is about what I'm looking for with my butter. Don't take it down too small. I know a lot of formulas will say take your butter down to the size of peas or something like that, but I've got a few good sized chunks here, and that's going to give you your more dramatic layers. All right, let's grab our scale again. At this point, we need 445 grams of spent starter. So this is some really old starter with a little bit of newer-ish starter kind of packed on top of it. Whoop. There we go. So if your starter is, only a couple of days old, you'll get a little bit more rise out of these biscuits than if it's like 3 weeks old in your refrigerator. But either way, they're going to be good. And I'm just flipping some of this over on top of it, and I'm taking my fingers, pushing through and opening up to kind of break up the starter as I'm kneading here. Because we're doing a couple rounds of lamination, that is going to help actually mix this stuff together too, so you don't necessarily have to get every last bit of flour worked into this. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sprinkle that extra on top there. Pop this onto our workspace. Okay, so I'm just gonna flour the top of this a little bit, go underneath so nothing sticks. And all I'm gonna do is do this really, really quick. One fold like that. And these are not meant to be, neat croissant level laminations. It's just all we're doing is we're taking this butter and we're kind of stacking it on top of each other. And it also makes for just a nicer little thing of flour to cut out. All right, so that's all we got. That's all we need. We'll go about 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick. And let me get my biscuit cutter. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly cut some biscuits out of here. I like to use the fluted biscuit cutter, but you can use however you want to do this. All right, now these are just going to go onto a parchment lined baking sheet, and you're going to put them in a 425-degree oven for, check them after about 15 minutes. Now, as you see, I'm kind of reforming this stuff together. This is mostly because I don't like wasting things, but what's cut from this is not going to be as pretty as these. So these are like your show biscuits, and these are still going to taste good, but they might kind of spread apart, or half of them rise higher than the other, or something like that. But so that when I say that this gets 6 biscuits, I meant 6 pretty biscuits. But you can get about 10 total out of this. You can brush these with butter. You can brush them with cream, which is my preference, before they go into the oven. And we will see how they fare. One thing that's really important when you're making biscuits, it's just like if you're making pie dough or croissants or anything that involves butter that needs to stay in chunks or in layers, is that your butter needs to be cold. So if you're working in a hot kitchen, and you're afraid that things are going to start melting a little bit, either plan to stop and refrigerate or freeze things every 5 or 10 minutes, or you can take your ingredients and pop them in the fridge for 20, 30 minutes, an hour, the day before, however long you want to do, so that everything is going very cold. The only exception to that is your sourdough starter. It is ridiculously difficult to mix flour and butter and all of the other things into a cold starter. So you do want your sourdough starter to be room temperature. Everything else, start cold. All right, so these biscuits ended up baking for about 19 minutes. I did check them after about 15, and they needed a couple of more minutes, so I just rotated the tray in the oven so that the back ones did not burn, and finished them off for about 4 more minutes. And now I've got these just gorgeous biscuits. You can see, you can see how they layer. They pull apart really easily there. So we've got all of that layering. You can actually, I'll just show you on this one how we've got those flaky layers in there. If you had decided to bake these with some starter that had maybe recently been fed, then you would actually get a much taller rise out of these, because you'd have the extra yeast going on in that also to give it even more rise. So just depending on what you're going for, sometimes I like them that way when I want just like this giant biscuit, and then other times I need something a little bit more traditional, so that's what we went for here. Definitely eat them really soon after baking. They're great hot out of the oven. They definitely should be eaten the same day that you make them. You can freeze them and refresh them in the oven if you'd like. You can also mix your dough, roll it and cut it, and then you can put those little cut rounds of dough onto a cookie sheet and put it in the freezer so that you can pull those and bake them as you need it. They'll just need a couple extra minutes in the oven. And you also don't get quite as good of a rise on it that way, so I definitely like making it fresh, but it is nice to have in a pinch when you need like some good weeknight biscuits and you just want to grab something from the freezer and stick it in the oven. That's also definitely a really great option. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm hoping that you are ending this class with a tray of really good biscuits and you've got something great to eat them along with. But if you have any questions, then feel free to message me, comment below, or you can always reach me through direct message on Instagram. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good day, happy baking, and I will see you again soon. Bye!